All right, okay. Good evening, guys. Can you let me know if you can hear me and see the screen? Yes. Can hear me and can see screen? Right. Okay. Perfect. So today what we'll do probably is we'll finish off the unit number 1, the essay questions, right? We'll finish those off, and next week we can start off with unit number 2. We'll try and go a little bit more faster so that we can finish off all the units before A levels. And also in the meantime, guys, if you'll have friends, they are in the group, in case they've forgotten that guy's class, maybe you can give them a call and maybe you can remind them, right? So I'll wait for maybe a minute or maybe two so that we can get started and we can get going. Guys, just want to check with you all. Did you all write the answers? Yes. Did you all sit and, in a book 2000, maybe I think we need to go from 17 onwards. Did you all sit and did you all put pen on paper and did you all write? Yes, no? Write it out? Didn't write it out? Did? Okay, nice. Some of you all have done, but I think a very few only, right? Okay, so others also, guys, I would encourage you all to sit and actually write answers, because you can't just read an answer and practice answer writing, right? So if you are to practice answer writing, you are supposed to sit and write and do all of that. And also, just interesting fact, did you all see what has happened to the foreign reserves in the country? Yes. What is the latest update about the foreign reserves? Anyone? Latest update? No idea. That is in your unit number 10. Okay, one person has some idea. Okay. So ideally, guys, now from our foreign reserves, right now, you all know in these foreign reserves, there is gold, there is a lot of other things, right? It's not just currency, right? It's not just US dollars, right? So when you say foreign reserve, you have gold and you have everything, but you can't use everything. No. So from the foreign reserves, we have the usable amount, right, is only 50 million. And I saw a post after that also, it has become zero, right? So we don't have any usable foreign reserves. That does not mean our total foreign reserves are zero, guys. Try to understand that, right? In your unit number 10, you all would have studied what are the components of foreign reserves. You always study special drawing rights, you always study monetary gold, yeah, things like that. So those things are there, right? But things that could be used, right, that you can to import your fuel, your medicine, your whatever things, right, that we have 50 million. And I saw another post that says we don't even have that much, it's all used stuff, right? So as a country, we now have no money to import anything ideally. So but we are looking at getting help from Japan. So Japan has told that they would help us out, right? So hopefully we'll hope help us out in the sense they will give us a loan, or they might give us some foreign aids or something. So we'll hope and pray that they give us something, because otherwise, yes, probably Mahinda might have more money than the whole country. So things like that are there, but overall, that's what has happened to the country. And tomorrow also, I think there is this whole Hartal thing where everyone is going on a strike, right? So I think there will not be any buses, there will not be anything. So if you're planning to go out tomorrow, probably cancel those out, right? So I don't think much things will happen tomorrow. So stay at home. That's about tomorrow. And also, guys, one more thing, right? Hartal is not really similar to a protest. Protest is a little bit more of a serious version, where all these shops are closed, and like everyone goes on strikes. Teachers goes on strikes. The transportation people go on strike. Yeah. So all these people start going on strike. I think tomorrow buses are also on strike. So then transportation is totally disrupted, right? So there are things like that that will go on. And also, guys, you would have seen one more thing about since a lot of people, even now, since you're asked in the chat box, I'll just take a minute or two to explain this about the fast track program, right, which we are going to start in May. Okay, so listen carefully, guys. I'm not going to repeat this over and over again, right? So this is about the fast track program. That is, it's a paid program, right? It's up to you if you all want to join. Since so many texts I have got, but I have not been able to reply, and now also I got some messages. I'll take 2 minutes to explain what this fast track program is. After that, it's up to you whether you're joining or not. Okay. So the fast track program is a program that is there for 6 months, right? So starting from May. Now, when we say months, guys, I'm looking at 24 weeks, right? Starting from May all the way until October, where your exam is planned, right? So 6 months, what we will be doing there is we will be covering the entire syllabus, right? Now, when I say the entire syllabus, guys, we will mainly focus on the toughest areas of the syllabus, not the, not the very basics, not on those, right? On the toughest of areas and the most important areas that could come in your exam. Those are the areas that we will focus. We will not talk about, all these baby things. We'll not be talking about that, right? So how the program will be planned out, this thing you all might have, guys, this document, you all have the document on the message I sent. There is a link. So there will be 3 classes a week, right? So that is a total of 12 classes a month, right? So in addition to Beyond the Classroom, now Beyond the Classroom is the free class we have. So in addition to that, if that is also there, then that's 16 classes a month where you all will see me, right? So there is 12 classes. How it would work is, listen carefully, guys. I'm not going to repeat this over and over again, right? So classes, these will be the class times, right? So I'm not going to change these times. So what will happen is, it's going to happen this way, right? So I have put the whole schedule also. So we are starting on the 9th of May, right? That is the coming Monday, right? So classes are on Monday, Thursday, and Saturday, right? So on Monday, what do we do? The first week, right? We go through unit number 1. So it's a 3-hour class. In 3 hours, I will recap the entire unit. We'll go through the hardest of areas, the most important ones. We'll go through. You all will get a printed book sent to your doorstep with all the notes. That's a different story. And then on the 12th of May, that is Thursday, right? Now, since we have gone through, you all will also get a study plan, guys. So once that we have gone through the unit on Monday, on Thursday, what we will be doing is we will be doing a paper, right? So in the meantime, according to your study plan, you all will be studying that unit, right? So on Thursday, you all will be doing a paper only from unit number 1, right? So it's going to be a really hard paper with the hardest of questions from unit number 1. It will not be past papers because we are doing past papers in the Beyond the Classroom, right? So it's going to be model questions, probably very hard questions, right? Maybe 1 or 2 past papers are there, right? To be to get the best out of it. And then I have added a additional class that is Saturday early morning. That's an optional class though, right? Because there are some people who are weak, right? So in case you have doubts from unit number 1, right? So in case you have doubts from unit number 1, there is a 2-hour class on Saturday. That's early morning though, from 6 to 8, right? Where you can come, right? One-on-one, we can clear our doubts. That is an optional class where only if you have doubts, you can come. That is how the week would go, right? So week 1, we focused on unit number 1. So we are completely done. That is how your study plan will also go. So in 1 week, we're completely done with unit number 1. The hardest of areas, you clear all your doubts, you do everything, and you're done. Same procedure, we go with week 2. But now the focus is on unit number 2. So we go through unit number 2, we do a paper, we clear the doubts, right? Guys, these papers and all, you will not be doing the paper in class, right? You'll be doing the paper and come, you'll get the book, you will get a book. In that book, the paper is there. You will do it and come. We will only discuss it in class, right? I'm not going to waste 2 hours looking at your faces until you write answers. No, that's not going to work. Okay. So we do that. Week 3, we do unit number 3. And then in week 4, right? The 4th week of the month, what we do is we do a mock exam from unit 1, 2, and 3, right? So we again go through 1, 2, and 3. So now this mock exam will be a A-level standard paper, 50 MCQs, right? 10 essay questions, right? It's going to be a paper like that. So we will discuss that on one class. We'll discuss paper 1 on one class, paper 2 on another class, and then we'll clear all the doubts again from unit 1 to 3 in another class. So ideally, month 1 is focused on unit 1, 2, and 3. And again, it's not, again, I'm repeating, guys, we're not going to teach the very basic areas, no, right? The toughest of areas, the most important areas that you all can score your marks and what would come, right? So likewise, the plan would go on, right? So month 1 is May. I have given the dates also, guys. You all can have a look, right? This document is there in the message I sent in a link that says more information for the class schedule. This document is there. So month 2 will focus on unit 4, 5, and 6. Last week, we will be doing a whole 4, 5, 6 together paper. Month 3, we will go through 7, 8, and 9. That's money and banking, public economy, international trade. Month 4, we'll be doing 10, 11, and 12, right? And then the last 2 months, right, we will be doing overall mock exams. That is similar to your A-level paper, right? It's going to be overall mock exams. It's going to be tougher than your actual A-level paper, so don't expect very easy papers. So that's going to have all these targeted questions and, the most difficult ones, right? Apart from past papers. So what you will be doing is you all will be doing 8 mock exams at a stretch. So at a stretch, 1 week, 1 mock exam, right? So 8 weeks, you all will be doing mock exams, right? So week 1, you have mock exam 1, week 2, mock exam 2, week 3, mock exam 3. So likewise, it goes on for 8 weeks, right? So your ideally, according to my current plan, this can change a little if your exam dates change, right? Guys, what's the date that you all have for your exams now? October 17th, is it? Yes. Currently, they've given you all a date. Yeah, October 17th. So then by October 6th, we are done with the whole program, right? So you all have written 8 mock exams at a stretch, right? And then you all have a 10-day break, and then you go and write your actual exam. So, but if you do all of this properly, guys, getting your actual exam done is nothing. There is no game at all, right? But there is a lot of work to do, right? So if you're a lazy person who thinks, no, I'm only going to study, 1 or 2 hours a week, and you're going to get this done, then this program is not for you, right? So keep that in mind. This is not for all the lazy people. If you are willing to put the effort, if you're willing to sacrifice and put your time, this is a program that will take you to an island rank, right? So probably if you manage your other subjects also, this is a program ideally that will help you score more than 90 for econ, right? So that's how it's going to work. But if you're not going to put the effort, if you're not going to come to class, if you're just going to wait, right, then this program is not for you. Okay, so that is the basic story about the fast track. And so since the classes, these are the class times. Again, you all will get all the recordings of every class. So even if it clashes with another class, right, you can always watch that recording and you can come to the next class, no problem at all. The recording will be there until A levels. So you can watch any amount of times, right? No restriction. Only thing, you can't share it with anyone else. If you share it, then there is a your account can get blocked. Apart from that, everything else is there. Class fee will be 3,200 a month, right? Because there is 12 classes, guys. I've been very reasonable with the class fee also. You all get a printed tute also. It's not a PDF, right? It's a book. I'll try to show you. I don't know if you all can see this. This is a book like this, right? So I don't know if you all can see my virtual background on. Right? It's going to be a book like that you all will be getting every month, right? With your units and all of that. So at the start of the month, you will get it once you are paid and registered, and then that will go on. Okay, so that's the thing. Study plan also, I will then it's a basic study plan, right? And we'll follow up. I will have one-to-one mentoring sessions and we'll go on and somehow get this done, right? So regardless, probably I might have a session on Saturday also, this Saturday, like a motivational session, right? To help you all plan the next 6 months out. In case I decide to do that, I'll have registration so you all can register and we'll have a session on Saturday. I'm still thinking about it. That's all about that, right? So I'm hoping I would have cleared most of your doubts and all of it. And again, fast track program, I'll be limiting it to only 100 people, but we don't have 100 yet. But in case last time we actually had 100, in case 100 exceeds, we are gonna stop registrations. I'm not gonna get more than 100 people there. Okay. Yes, previous paper discussion will do. I'll let you all. Okay, right. Any questions, guys? Can we get into today's part? 2017 paper. Yes. Fine. Any questions that you all want to clarify before I get into the teaching part of today? Will there be a change in the exam date? I'm not sure, but I guess there might be. But again, my fast track program is planned for your October 17th. In case it gets postponed a little, I will adjust the plan a little. But somehow the syllabus will be covered, guys. Don't worry. Okay, right. We'll start off with 2017 A levels, right? 2016 paper question. 2016. Yes, didn't we do this? 16 question 2 is related to unit number 1. Yes, did we do this question? Yes, no. 2016 question number 2. We did, right? Okay, fine. So we need to start from 17. Fine. Perfect. Right. So we'll start with 2017, question number 1. Okay. This is the year actually I did A levels. So we'll see how many of you all can get these right also. So the following diagram shows a production possibility curve for an economy which produces only civilian goods and military goods, right? So you all need to have some idea, right? Civilian goods means the food, the clothes. Military goods, the guns, the weapons, right? What you need for war. That basic understanding should be there. right? So assume that the economy is producing at point K. So currently they're producing at point K. So currently what are they doing? They're producing a lot of civilian goods, right? But a very little military goods. So military goods are very little, civilian goods are high. Just get that into your head. That has to be running in the background of your head, right? Okay. So then, does this economy's production possibility curve exhibit increasing opportunity cost? Explain. What can you say, guys? Does it exhibit increasing opportunity cost? Yes, it does, right? So it does show that there is increasing opportunity cost. So when you say explain, what is your reason? Do you simply say the PPC is concave to the origin, therefore it is increasing opportunity cost? Do you think that's the right answer to put out? Not really, right? Your answer's explanation can't be just that. You say, yes, this what PPC represents increasing opportunity cost, right? Yes, you can talk about it being concave, but highlight in addition to that, just say this, guys. You can talk about what is this increasing opportunity cost. So you can say, right, in the context of this economy, if this economy is to produce, let's say, more civil goods, right, it has to give up more and more military goods, right? Every time it increases civil goods by an equal quantity, the amount of military goods it has to give up keeps on increasing. Thus, this economy has what? Increasing opportunity cost. And it is further what? Proven by the PPC, which is concave to the origin. So something like that, guys, right? So make sure when you're writing answers also, don't write babyish answers, guys. Don't say, yes, increasing opportunity cost because the PPC is concave. No, right? When you're giving your answer, because this is the first question that you're writing in your paper, guys, this sets the tone, right? Usually, most of you all write the first question first, guys, right? The moment the examiner sees you writing this answer, you've given a very babyish answer because the examiner doesn't know which school you're from, which district you're from, he doesn't know your name, right? They simply open, they look at your handwriting, they see how things are. So creating that first impression matters. So your first few answers, guys, give a good answer. Yeah, that's what you can write. And then we go to part 2. If this economy was to go for war, right, the most likely move would be from point K to which point? Guys, what do you all think? If they go for war, what kind of goods do they want, guys? Right now they're at point K. Where do you think they should go to? Others' answers can't figure out. Even if you have not done it, guys, just look at the diagram and see if you can figure out an answer. Right now they're at K. They want to go for war, right? So when they go for war, what kind of goods do they want? They'll need more of military goods, exactly. So then which point should they move to? From K, should they go to U, E, T, or M? Which point? They need military goods, right? So why don't they go to M, guys? Why don't they go to point M? Point M produces all military goods. So when you go to war, that is what you want, right? So why aren't you going to point M? Why are most of you all saying that we should go to point E, guys? Why not point M? Because war, you need military goods. Why not going to M? Is the reason is, guys, you can't survive in an economy only with military goods, no, guys. Civil goods are also essential to some part, right? That's your food, your clothes, your basic essentials, right? Just because you go for war, you can't stop producing everything else and only produce military goods, right? So don't say point M, right? Like most of you all told, you go with point T. So if you look at point T, can you see? You're producing more military goods, but a little civil goods. So now it's ready to go for war. Okay, that has to be your answer. So you can say, where will the economy go from point K? It would move to point T. So your explanation can be something like this. You can say, during war, a country would require a high amount of military goods. So therefore, point T, right, is a point where the economy produces a high amount of military goods, on the same time also produces the basic necessities such as the civil goods. They are not completely giving up civil goods also. Give up even a small explanation, guys. That has to come from your words. Don't buy hard things and go and write. Yeah. Okay. So then, is why not M? Like I said before, right? You don't go to M because if you go to M, you're not producing any civil goods. Can you live in a society that produces no civil goods? You can't negate. Civil goods are your food, your clothes, your normal things, right? Your day-to-day things. So just because a country goes for war, guys, you can't produce only military goods and give up everything. No. Yes, you can produce more military goods, but not all, right? You can't use all your resources. That's why you don't go to point M. Okay, right. Then if you go to question C, if the economy entered into a recession, the economy would move from point K to which point? A very common question with the COVID-19 pandemic and all of it, right? From point K, where will they move if the economy hits a recession, guys? What's a recession? Yes, what's a recession? What happens in a recession? Exactly. From point K, they would move to point U. But why? What is the logic behind? My teacher told in the tute it's there from point K to point U. In the in whatever note I studied, it said the point inwards recession is, that is why from point K to point U. What's the reason behind it, guys? What's the logic behind this? What happens in a recession? Right? Okay, my students kind of know an answer. Nice. Okay, yes. Okay, what happens in recession, guys? I'll just take a minute to explain what happens in this, right? Now, one thing, right? Because of COVID-19, we said the economy faced a recession, right? I'll tell you what happens in a recession. First of all, guys, in a recession, what happens is, right? What happens to people spending? Now, when COVID-19 came, what happened to spending, guys? Increased or decreased? The amount of money that people start to spend, what did we do? Did we spend on going for movies and tourist hotels? And did we do that? No, right? It decreased, right? So when spending decreases, overall, what happens to aggregate demand? Aggregate demand. Now people are not buying stuff, no, they're not spending money. So what happens to aggregate demand? Aggregate demand decreases, right? Now, people are only willing to buy very little, right? People are willing to buy only a very small quantity now, right? What happens then, guys? What happens to production? Now, for example, we'll think of a clothing store like No Limit, right? No Limit has, let's say, for a month, they are producing, let's say, 100,000 clothes, okay? But now people are willing to buy only 20,000 because their spending has fallen. Do you think No Limit will still produce 100,000, or will they also decrease their production? What will No Limit do, guys? Will they also still produce the 100,000? They won't, right? If people are willing to buy only 20,000, right? If the demand is less, right? What will happen? The production will also fall, right? The production decreases. Now, the next question comes, guys. When the production decreases, now let's say No Limit to produce the 100,000 clothes, they were hiring 1,000 people, right? Now to produce 20,000 clothes, do they need 1,000 people or do they need less people now? What happens to your level of resources that you need to produce just 20,000 clothes? You need less resources now, right? So what happens when your production decreases? What do you do, guys? You start firing people, right? That is why most of the people lost their jobs during COVID-19. You all might know, no? Sometimes maybe your parents, sometimes maybe someone else, right? So when production decreases, what happens, right? Unemployment increases. Unemployment increases. So how do you show unemployment on a PPC? Coming from basics of unit number 1. In a point inside the PPC. A point inside will represent unemployment. That is how this whole recession becomes a point inside, guys. That's the logic behind that, right? The moment you'll understand the logic, you're not going to forget things. So always try to put the logic into your head and know things down, right? So that's with question 1, part 1. Are we okay? Is there a part B? No, that's all. Are we okay there, guys? 6 marks, easy 6. Step. Moving on. Okay, right. Then we'll go to point 2, right? Say 3 reasons, right, that explain why division of labor increases an economy's level of production. Guys, why do you think division of labor increases an economy's level of production? Now, what is division of labor first? Division of labor is where, you break down the production process into small parts, right? So let's say garment manufacturing, you're manufacturing a t-shirt, you break it down. Okay, one is the cutting department, one is the sewing department, the packaging department, you break it down into small parts like that. So, and then one person does only one thing. One person doesn't cut and sew and put the buttons and package and iron, and he doesn't do everything. He does only one small thing. This is 2017 days, right? So that is division of labor. So what are the reasons that this division of labor leads to this guy? How does division of labor increases the economy's level of production? Okay, right. One thing. Okay, so you can say specialization. It affects the productivity. Nice. Okay, so specialization improves the productivity. Okay, nice. So you can talk a little bit about this. So you can say, right, but they're only asking for 3 reasons, right? So you don't have to go too much also, right? So they're only asking you state, no, you don't have to explain. So one thing is, yes, because of specialization, when one person does only one small thing, he becomes, really good in it, right? He becomes, someone who is really efficient in it. So his productivity goes up. He can do things much faster, right? So improves productivity. What else can you say, guys? Yes, you can say it reduces the cost of production, right? Therefore, encourages firms to produce more, right? Now, because of this, right, because of specialization, because of division of labor, what happens? Your cost of production goes down. People are specialized, they are very efficient and fast, right? So you don't waste resources, right? So your cost of production goes down to a certain extent. You all know when cost of production goes down, what happens to the supply? Increases, right? That can be a point. What else could you say? Yes, you can say, okay. You can also say it saves time, right? Saves time, fine. What else? Why does it increase the level of production? Okay, so saves time by, let's say, reducing wastage or, let's say, defects, right? Because of that, your overall production is high. What else can you say? Why? What else? Yes, you can talk about increased income, okay, shape, increased quality also, okay, but I think these 3 reasons are better, right? Because they're asking you, why does this division of labor increase the production, right? So why does it increase the overall production? Maybe because of this, right? Yes, easy to handle the work. You can give all of those and just check what your marking scheme also says. You all have a past time book, right? So just check what your marking scheme also says. It should have things like this, right? Yes, you can talk about, yes, use of machinery is encouraged, perfectly fine. Machinery is encouraged. That could be an answer. Yeah, you can put things like that. Okay, done. So that is also fine. Okay, now we'll move on to the next question. Now this question was also good. Now see, you don't have to explain these, right? See, the word is state. They're giving you 3 marks. That clearly saying state 3 reasons. So you don't have to explain. You don't have to write pages. Guys. Just 3 simple points. That's all. You get your 3 marks. Don't go and explain, and don't go and write paragraphs. Waste of time. Okay, done. So we'll then move on to the next question. So they say, with the help of a production possibility curve, explain the concept of a scarcity. So now these questions, guys, you have to be very smart how they break the marks, guys, right? Because everyone knows scarcity, everyone knows how to show scarcity on a PPC, right? So I'll show you how you can break your marks down, right? So I'll give you 1 mark for defining scarcity, right? So guys, I'm not going to type answers here, right? So you can say scarcity is the limitedness of resources compared to unlimited human wants. You define scarcity. I'll give you 1 mark, right? And then you can talk about what does the production possibility curve do? What is the production possibility curve? The production possibility curve, you can say, is the line drawn, right, showing all possible combinations of what an economy can produce using all of its resources. That you give a definition of a PPC. I kind of give you 1 mark for that, right? And then I'll give you 1 mark for drawing the diagram, right? And showing that PPC is, sorry, scarcity is a point outside, marking this, right? So maybe for this, I can only maybe even half a mark for this, right? I'll give you 1 mark for this, right? And then for the rest of the 1.5 marks that you have, guys, you can explain this, what is there in the diagram. So you can say, right, according to the above diagram. Now you have drawn a diagram, you can say, right, according to the above diagram, right? Now you can mark more points, guys. That's up to you. You can mark, a point here, point here. You can say this is A, this is B. You can say this is C, right? So you can say point A and point B represents full employment. It means where when the economy uses all of its resources to the maximum level, the combinations that it can achieve. However, you can see according to the diagram above, point C, right? Point C, which is outside the production possibility curve, outside the PPC, represents scarcity. In other words, it is a point that is unattainable. It's a point that you cannot reach, right? So if you can put in things like that, guys, and if you can explain, that's how you're going to get your marks. Now, I know every one of you all knows how to show PPC, what scarcity on a PPC image. But what we are learning here is not that, right? Because this is not a theory class. I'm not teaching you scarcity. I'm not teaching you how to show scarcity on a PPC. I'm telling you how to write the answer, right? So, and this also, guys, it's not just me just telling you all have to sit and write, okay? If you're not going to sit and write, the words are not going to come, guys. Because these are not things that you memorize something and write new. Yeah, you put in new words of yours and you need to form a sentence. So for that, you have to sit and write. Yeah, maybe start from today or start from tomorrow. I know you can't sit and write at a stretch for 2 hours, you can't, right? But take some time, guys. At least the 1 30-minute question, can you sit in one place and write? Can you focus and write? Try to build that habit now so that when your exam comes, it becomes very easy for you. Yeah. So small things that you all could work on. So that's the thing. You can go through your answer scheme. You all have it, right? So that's how you can write your answer. Done. Then we have this. We have the next question that's okay. What functions? Now again, when they say what, guys, do you have to explain or do you have to state? What do you do? When they say what, when the word there is what, do you go and explain, write paragraphs? Do you write around 4 or 5 lines about it? So what do you do? They've just said, what functions do price serve? What functions do price serve? Is when they say what, right? Always remember the question word what, you don't have to explain, right? You just write the 3 functions. 3 marks. 3 marks for writing the 3 functions. What are the 3 functions, guys? Now, by now you all should be knowing, right? It's the signaling, right? Signaling. Another word is the informative function. Second one, the rationing or the allocative function. And the final one is the incentive function. Right? So just writing those 3, guys, is enough, right? Because they're only asking you what. If they ask you to explain, briefly explain, right? Maybe then you could write, right? You can maybe give the function, you can write 2-3 lines after that. You can do that. You won't waste time going and explaining these guys because they've already asked what. Okay, done. Then we have this, the last question. State the disadvantage of a command economy. Disadvantages of a command economy. Now, what is a command economy? Where they use planning mechanism and where the government controls. What are the disadvantages? Like, what can you say? Okay, no consumer freedom. Nice. Okay. Now see, they say state and they're giving you 4 marks. So you'll have to write 4 points. Yeah. So you can say, okay, no freedom of choice. No freedom of choice for consumers. Yes, you can talk about environmental degradation. Yes, no consumer sovereignty also will put it into this itself. Okay, inefficient decision making. Okay, inefficient decision making. Fine. What else? Okay, insufficiency of infrastructure system. Okay, Impracticality of decisions. Okay, so we'll say inefficient decision making. Will put to that, right? Lack of innovations. Yes, you can add. No competition. Yes. Okay, so you all know that. Okay, so lack of innovation, right? No competition, right? Anything else? Yes, high political influences. Can talk about that. No proper property rights. Yes. Yeah. So things like that, guys. Again, see, they've asked you to state. So don't be a fool and don't go and explain, guys. Right? So more government intervention, maybe not really a disadvantage here, right? Maybe these are better answers. Yes, lack of quality. Yes, nice, good answer. Right? Yes, problems related to coordinating and organizing. Yes. Okay. So you can give in point to that, but don't go and explain again, right? Because they're only asking you to state, right? I know you all know. I know you all have studied. I know you all know a lot about this, but don't waste your time, guys. It's in vain. Yeah. That's all that you have to do. How is that question, guys? Shape, manageable, can do. Question one there. 2017 A levels, the paper that I did. Can, no, can't. Shape. Not bad. Actually, I did not do this question yet. This was my level year, but I did not do this. I think I did question number 2. I did I think I did 2, 3, and 4, if I'm not mistaken. 2 was demand supply and government intervention. 3 was no, I did 2, 3, and 5. Yeah? No, you don't have to explain the function briefly. No, not. Yeah. Yeah, I did 2 the demand supply one, but there was no calculation that year. 2017 was a year that there was no calculation, so I really felt bad for the people who are, at least those equilibrium calculations. People look into those and go to pass, but they did not give that. So there was no equilibrium calculation and stuff. I did question number 2. I did question number 3 from production cost and stuff, and I did question number 5, macroeconomic equilibrium. Again, was a very easy question, very similar to past papers. Yeah, but this question was not hard. But at the end, guys, when you have studied a lot and when you have a broad understanding, you can even leave these questions. I just, when what I do is as I get the paper, I write and see how many marks I can get. So I looked at this. Okay, this one, I said, okay, I can get 6 marks. Right? Okay, 3 reasons for this variable. Let's say, okay, I can write 2. This one scarcity, this I know I can get 4. Functions of price, I can get 3. But then disadvantage, I was not very sure. Let's say I can get 3. Right? So then I add the marks and see. Now, before writing, right? Before writing in my head, I plan out how much I can get. So 6 and 2 is 8, 8, 12. 12 and this thing is 18. Okay. So if I write question number 1, I can get 18 marks. So likewise, I see the other questions also. So probably the other questions I would have felt I could have got more than 18. That's why I did not do the question. I can't remember exactly what was going in my mind at that time, but that's how I select questions. I'll teach you all how to select questions and what you all could do. We'll do that later, right? In the fast track also, and later when we do classes. Small things that run in your mind. Okay, done. So then we move into question 2018. Okay, we'll start with this. What distinguishes entrepreneurship from labor as a factor of production? What distinguishes this then? Entrepreneurship and labor. 1. What does an entrepreneur do? This is directly there in my theory tutes, and I try to copy and paste it. Why waste time? Yes, he bears risk. Fine, nice. Okay, so if anyone does not have a note, guys, so these are things, right? Differences between the entrepreneur and the other factors of production. So you can say the entrepreneur, he's the one who coordinates and combines the factors of production, right? So while you can say labor is simply employed in that production, so he doesn't coordinate or anything. Entrepreneur is the one who coordinates. Then an entrepreneur bears a risk. He could either get a profit or a loss. But if you take labor, right, he does not bear a risk. He gets his wage. He gets a fixed wage, right? And then or entrepreneur is involved in policy decision making. That means the big decisions, right? This is what we have to produce. This is the market that we have to cater, right? Those kind of ways. While you can say labor just follows those reasons. They don't make the big decision, right? And then you can say entrepreneur engages in innovations and inventions. He comes up with new stuff. But other factors like labor, they don't do things like that. So 4 points, guys. That is all that you have to write. 4 points. You get your 4 marks. So in case anyone does not have anything, it is there my 5 people, that you can get a screenshot also. Okay, but should be there in your past paper book also, right? Okay. Sorry. Okay, so that is how you can write. Now see again the question here, right? They're asking you what distinguishes. Remember I told you last class, when they tell you the word distinguish, for God's sake, don't draw a table, say labor, entrepreneurship, right? Labor is this, entrepreneurship is this. Don't do that case. It has to come in proper point form, right? So just as the way that I have put over here, that's how your answer should come. Don't draw a table, say okay, labor is getting what, wages, this person is getting profit. Labor is not doing innovation, this person is doing innovation. Not that way. Can't come that way. You're not writing O-level paper anymore. Okay, right. Done. So then explain the law of increasing opportunity cost and what causes opportunity cost to increase. Now again, guys, now when you get a question like this, break it down. Like I've always told, before you start to answer, guys, you need to break it down, right? So ideally, how they could give you the marks here is, right, they can, to explain the law of increasing opportunity cost, they can give you 2 marks, right? What causes the opportunity cost to increase? They might give you 2 marks. The reason, right? Or else, now you're not sure, guys, when you get the question, you don't know how many marks. Or else, maybe for this explain the thing, they might give you 1 mark, right? And then what causes opportunity cost to increase, they might give you 3 marks, right? It can be broken down that way. You don't know right now. You haven't seen the marking scheme, guys, when you're writing your A-level paper. But in your head, you should be able to figure that out. So now, how are you going to write? When you're going to explain the law of increasing opportunity cost, are you going to explain it for 1 mark or 2 marks now? The breakdown could be 2 and 2 or 1 and 3. What did I tell you all that? You're going to write for how many marks now? How many marks are you going to explain the law of increasing opportunity cost for? In mind? For 2 marks, right? Think that you're going to get 2 marks, right? And you explain that for 2, right? And then, okay, the causes of opportunity cost to increase. For how many marks are you going to explain that? Going to explain that for 2 or 3 now. For 3 marks, guys. Always go with the higher number. So now, no matter what happens, you're on the safe side. If they have broken it 2-2 also, you still have the marks. If they have broken it 1-3 also, you still have the marks. Yeah, kind of taught this last class also. So strategically think, hey, that has to come from you all. I can't come and spoon feed in your exam and say, look here, write for this much, write for this much. I can't say that. So then, right, to explain law of increasing opportunity cost, right? So what can you talk about law of increasing opportunity cost case? So you can say, law of increasing opportunity cost is where, right, when you increase the production of one good, right, you have to give up more and more of another good, right? So you all know what is increasing opportunity cost, guys. So you explain that, use around 2-3 lines enough, right? And then maybe you can say when due to increasing opportunity cost, you can also say the PPC, the production possibility curve, will be concave to the origin, right? And maybe you can draw a small PPC also and show. Yeah. So once you do that, you will get your 2 marks, right? So these 2 marks you have got. Okay. Then they're asking you what causes opportunity cost increase. Now you don't have to explain too much also, right? Even if you state it's enough, but to be on the safer side, maybe write a little longer answer. So what causes increasing opportunity cost? What do you have, okay? What are the reasons for increasing opportunity cost? Okay, non-homogeneous resources. Okay, I'll copy and paste answers, right? That means resources in the 2 industries are not the same, right? It's different. So as a result, you could have increasing opportunity cost. What are the other reasons? So you can talk about a little. You can say that the resources are different. You can say that. Then, okay, you can say yes, the production technique is different, right? So, or you can say, what can you say? You can say resources efficient in one industry are not efficient in the other, right? So, resources efficient in one industry is not efficient in the other, right? So, you can say resource productivity changes or resource efficiency changes. And then you can say, you also talk about what? Technological differences. Technological differences. So this will include the differences in the production technology, right? The production methods, those are different. Yeah. So 3 points like this, guys. So you get your 3 marks. Right now, you don't have to explain too much also, because they are not asking you to explain what causes the difference. They're asking you what causes the difference. So maybe you can write the 3 points. If you want, write a line about it. That's okay. But don't waste time writing paragraphs and paragraphs about that. That's how your marks are broken. That's the trick, guys, right? Just because you get a question, it's not a matter of writing everything. And don't be a fool. Don't think that if I write everything, the teacher might give me good marks. No, guys. Think of the mentality of the paper marking person, right? This person is marking around, I don't know, 100 papers a day, right? They're marking so many papers, right? You think that your paper is going to become the first paper that this person is marking? No, right? Maybe your paper is the last paper this person is marking, right? So last paper, you imagine after marking 99 papers, that this person comes and sees your paper, right? You have not even broken down paragraphs. You have not done anything. For one entire full step, right? One page, you have written everything that you know about increasing opportunity cost, right? Think what's that going to do, right? So don't do that. And please, when you're writing answers, guys, space your answer out. Break it down into paragraphs. Goddamn paragraphs, please break it down, right? So this can be one paragraph, right? And along with that, you have the what? PPC, right? That section is done. Leave a line, right? And then you can say the reasons or the causes of increasing opportunity cost are as follows. Number 1, right? Don't write a paragraph about all of these 3. No, right? Number 1, okay, non-homogeneous resources. If you want, write a line about it. Leave a line. Number 2, right? Write that, because you're getting free paper. Don't worry, right? Even the country is running out of paper. If you raise your hand, they will come and give you paper, right? So when you're writing an exam, don't think about saving paper for the country. That's okay. Yeah, you take your time, you take your paper. You're also paying taxes, no? Right? Your parents are paying taxes. Even the goods that you buy, you're paying taxes, right? So don't feel bad about asking for paper from the people. Right? You raise your hand, you take paper, space your answer out, so that the moment the examiner sees, even without reading your answer, right, they can see, okay, look here, right, these points are there, this paragraph is there, fine. They'll give you the full marks, guys. But if you put the whole thing into one damn paragraph, right, one big paragraph, examiner has to find the one by one. Okay, is this point there? He has to read the whole paragraph and find. Sometimes they don't do that, right? So you might lose marks. Yeah. So don't try to save paper. I know you all are very economical people, very environmental friendly. That's all right. Maybe on your exam, don't try to be that person. Okay? Done. Okay. Question 3. Okay? Right. List the 3 fundamental questions any economic system must answer. Right? And outline briefly the 3 basic economic systems that have evolved to answer these 3 questions. Again, guys, how are you going to break this down? How are they going to give you the marks? Right? Okay. So, okay. Can you see? There is 2 subparts here, right? List the 3 fundamental questions any economic system must answer. Right. They're asking you to list. So, what are the 3? What to produce in what quantity, how to produce, whom to produce, right? So you write those. They will only give you 1 mark for that, right? Please, guys, don't go and explain what is what to produce, what is how to produce. No, right? That 1 mark. Then outline the 3 basic economic systems that have evolved to answer these questions. So what are the 3 basic economic systems? Now see, outline briefly. Outline is not state. Outline means outline is the, let's say, okay, the basic ones you have is this. You have list, right? List and state is the same. right? You write points, right? Then you might have even what is something like that. Okay, what I'll put the next line below. What also maybe you can state, maybe you can write a little. The next version of that is only outline. Yeah, you write a little bit longer sentences, like 2 lines. Yeah, then you have briefly explain, right? You have briefly explain, right? So explain in short term. Then you have explain, right? Then sometimes in some questions you might have discuss, right? But you don't find a lot of questions like this. But in question number 10, sometimes there is discuss the impacts of this, discuss that you write even longer. Yeah, that's how your thing goes, guys. So always know what to write, what question verb they are using. Yeah, so they're talking about outline. So outline, guys, what you have to do is what you can say. Okay, one economic system, you can write point 1, a market economic system. So then you simply write how does a market economic system answer these problems, guys. So write in 2-3 lines. You can say a market economic system uses the price mechanism, right, to answer the basic economic problem. So in other words, you can say they produce the most. So you talk about what to produce. They produce the most profitable goods. And how to produce? They produce the most profitable goods in the most cost-effective method and distribute the goods in a way whoever who has the purchasing power could obtain the goods. So you're covering all the 3 points. Done. So then you go number 2, command economy. So you say command economy or a planned economy uses the planning mechanism. They answer the basic economic problems, right? So you can say they produce the goods that is the most what desired to the society or the most socially desired goods, and they produce it in a manner that would give the full benefit to the public. And how do they distribute it? In a equitable way. Just 2-3 lines, guys. Don't go write pages. Done. Then number 3, mixed economy. So what is a mixed economy do? So you can say a mixed economy is a combination that uses both price and the planning mechanism. So you can say the private sector does this planning, what public sector does this. Likewise, to write a simple answer, guys. Don't write pages, I'll say, but nicely structure your answer, right? So 3 economic questions, right? You write the question, leave a line. Number 1 after that, market economy. Write 2-3 lines about that, how they solve it. Leave a line or 2, command economy, how they solve it. Line or 2, you leave. Mixed economy. That's a nice answer, guys. And also, please work on your handwriting, for God's sake, right? For even my theory revision people, your exam that you all have wrote, some people's handwriting, nice, very nice. Right? You don't even feel like marking those papers or even reading the answers. Okay. So your handwriting, for some reason, luckily my handwriting was actually nice, right? But it doesn't have to be nice, but make sure it's neat, guys, right? When you're writing on a line, write on the line. Your writing can't go on top of the line, okay? It can't start in one line and end in another line, right? I've seen answers like that also, right? I think this mock exam that I gave, I did not see, right? You have the lines like this in your paper, your answer starts like this, in the middle, it's gone like that. Can't happen, guys. You can't be writing answers like that, right? Make sure this is not a paper that you will run out of time, guys, right? I personally am a person who writes very slowly, right? My writing is very, very slow, right? So especially for these papers where you have to write a lot, especially in O-levels, all these, the singular paper, the literature paper, right? I try very, very hard to finish it off, but I finish it off, but that is there, right? I'm a slow writer, but that does not mean I try to write like this and where my writing goes that way, right? So make sure it's very neat, very clear, right? When there are borders on the paper, guys, for God's sake, a border is there in the paper to make sure you don't write on the other side of the border. So don't make sure you go like this and don't write on the border also, right? You write it on this side, fine, right? And also even the last line, maybe the last line that you have, right? It's going to go on the other page, right? But you're very, you don't want to waste paper. So what you do, you write it on below the border. Don't. You get in the paper for free, right? Go to the next page, write. Even if it's 1 or 2 words, you write it there. That's fine. Make it very neat, because only those things the examiner looks at, right? Make it very easy for them to mark. Don't do stupid things here and there. Okay, done. Okay, nice. This is a nice question. Using production possibility curves. explain separately the impact on the economy of a rise in unemployment rate and an increase in the working age population. So there are two questions. Yeah. So they're clearly asking you to explain separately, right? So explain separately the impact on the economy on the rise in unemployment rate, that is one, and an increase in the working age population, that's number two. So ideally your answer should be this way, guys. So you talk about rise in unemployment, you draw the PPC. Then after that, you talk about the working age population story, you draw the PPC. So you will get 1 mark for the explanation, 1 mark for the PPC, 1 mark for the explanation, 1 mark for the PPC. Okay, so what do you write? What are you going to say, guys? Okay, this one is easy, guys. A rise in unemployment. What can you say? So when there is a rise in unemployment, you can say that the resources will not be fully employed, right? So as a result, right, so you can say because of unemployment, you can say the machines are idle, people do not have jobs, right? So as a result, in the PPC, you will move towards a point further inside, right? So you put it on your own words, guys, put in some writing language, right? You do that for 1 mark, and then you draw your PPC. So rise in unemployment. See, they're not showing unemployment. They're saying rise in unemployment. So what you can do, very tricky, right? Right. A proper answer would look like something like, I don't know if the market scheme has it, right? So you can say the economy is currently in unemployment. That A. Now there is a rise in unemployment. So now from A, they're moving towards point a rise. Yeah, that would be a proper diagram. So you 1 mark for your diagram. Guys, when you're marking a diagram, please mark this. You can say consumer capital goods X and Y. That's okay. You can label this as the PPC, right? You can have something like 0 here, right? Draw a complete diagram, guys. Okay. That. Then this one, the second one, is how are you going to show this increase in working age population? Guesses? What are you going to do, guys? What happens to the PPC and all of it when the working age population increases? Point moving inside, point moving outside, rightward shift, leftward shift. What is going to happen here when there is a increase in the working age population? What's going to happen? Is it going to come in, come out? Point moving outside, rightward shift. Okay, simple things, guys. Let me try to put this into your head. See, right now these are things. This is what happens when people memorize answers. Yeah, think. Okay. Now, wait. So, what is your PPC showing? PPC, right, is showing the maximum possible output you can produce given your resource. Guys, what are the determinants of PPC? Determinants. Number one. Anyone remembers determinants of PPC? It's your factor endowment. What is factor endowment? How much of factors of production you have, right? Your land, your labor, your capital, and your entrepreneur. And your then number two is your factor productivity. We can call it resource productivity. Yeah, factor productivity. So under this, what you have? You have technology, right? You have technology. You have human capital, right? You have division of labor, right? And specialization. You have management methods, right? So you have all of that. So then, right, now think, when your working age population increases, let's say earlier, now working age population is what? Let's say between 15 years to 65 years, right? Earlier, let's say in Sri Lanka, there were 5 million people between this, right? Assume there were 5 million people in this range, but now they're saying this working age population has gone up, right? So now let's say there are 6 million people, right? Try to connect it to one of these determinants. What is going to increase here then? Is a factor endowment, some of it increasing, or something in the productivity is increasing? What is happening, guys, when the working age population goes up here? Think. What is happening? Your labor is increasing. No? What is labor? The physical and mental effort of your people. Now, 5 million people, you compare with 6 million people. 6 million people have more physical and mental effort, right? So the amount of labor you have, the physical and mental effort of the people is now going up. So remember in my theory class, anything that I have told you guys, when will the PPC shift? When one of these determinants. So labor increasing means now your factor endowment is increasing. Exactly. How do you show it on a PPC, guys? How do you show it on a PPC? How do you show an increase in your factor endowment on a PPC? Okay, these are basics, right? It's a rightward. So PPC shifts, right? So that is what you have to explain, guys. So your explanation will say when the working age population increase, right? You can say that the labor force in the country increase, the physical and mental efforts of the people are now much more, right? So as a result, the country will now be able to produce a greater or a higher amount of goods. So this could be shown in the PPC through a rightward shift or an outward shift of the PPC. Put those words like that, and then you draw your PP, right? So always remember, guys, the PPC will shift. It will only shift inwards or outwards when one of these changes. Otherwise, for any other reason, PPC won't shift, right? So what are the reasons for land to increase? Yes, can you give me examples? Land increasing. Examples. How could they say that the land is increased? How are they going to say that? Remember, in some papers, they have a discovery of a new oil deposit, right? A discovery of a new oil deposit in Bana or something, right? Okay, finding a new gem mine, fine. Have you seen questions like that? No? That means you've not done papers enough. Never seen? No? Discovery of oil deposit, right? Things like that and that. So that is land, right? That is land increasing. Yeah, that's land increasing. Then labor increasing. One is this, okay, working age population going up. Other ways, you can say people migrate into the country, right? You can say Sri Lankan workers have migrated into Sri Lanka now. These days, no one is coming to Sri Lanka, different story, but never mind. Or, for example, even if they say this, guys, even if they say the retirement age has increased, let's say they increase the retirement age from 60 to 65. Now people can work more, no? Again, labor is increasing. Yeah. And then how can capital increase? They can say development of a road network. They can say, different things, right? Let's say getting machines from abroad or, things. Entrepreneurship, they don't ask much about it, but yeah. Then, yes, school leaving age is reduced, can come to labor, perfect. Yeah. And then factor productivity, they can say improvements in technology. And then human capital, they can say providing training to employees, providing, knowledge, right? You can say people are now getting training. They can say school leavers are now, given some sort of training, that, right? And then division of labor, then management methods. So they can say now there is improved management methods. Right now they are working from this thing, they are doing just-in-time production, they are doing this, that. They can put in different things. Yeah. So when any of these change, guys, remember only, right? Only if any of one of these changes, your PPC will shift. If it's a favorable change, that means it's an increase ideally, PPC shifts right. If it's an unfavorable change, right, then the PPC will shift. For any other reason, PPC does not shift. Now, for example, unemployment. Unemployment PPC doesn't shift, right? So does unemployment mean your labor is falling? No. Still the labor is there, but they are not being used. Yeah, that is what unemployment is. The labor is there, they have not gone anywhere. The physical and mental efforts of the people are there, but they are not being utilized. The machines are not being utilized. That is what is happening. Unemployed. So you can't shift, right? You strategically get the thing, right? Whoever taught you would have told this to you. You can easily answer any PPC question. Done? That's question 4. Okay. Okay. Then question 5. This is a thing that we have already kind of spoken about. If you are not charged the price for the consumption of a good, that good must be a free good. You agree? Explain. You agree? If you're not charged the price, the good has to be a free good? No, right? Now, for example, your school textbooks, you're not charged the price, but remember we spoke about it. It's not a free good, it's an economic good, right? So first you can say, do you agree with this statement? You can say no, right? Then you can start explaining. So you can say, in economics, right? What is a free good? A free good is a good that economic resources have not been used in its production process. So you can say it's a good which is unlimited in supply, which is not scarce and has no opportunity cost. You can give examples, right? For example, like let's say sunlight, air, you can give things like that. And then you can say, right, economic goods are the goods that were produced using scarce resources, right? You can say there are certain economic goods, for example, such as the school textbooks given by the Sri Lankan government, right, are given free, right? A price is not charged. But however, these goods have been produced using scarce resources. So they are economic goods. They're not free goods. So you need to say the distinction between a free good and an economic good is not the fact that a price is charged or not. It's about whether are you using economic resources to it, are you using scarce resources in its production or not, right? So be very clear with those points, guys. Those are things that we have discussed already. Yeah, so I'm not going to talk too much about that. And that brings us to the end of the 2018 paper. Shape, easy, right? I don't see anything very, very hard. Shape, manageable, fine. Does it at least feel good that you're now little, guys? If you don't write, you're not going to feel this, right? The moment you start writing, only you're going to start feeling, okay, now I can write this. Yeah, okay, done. Then we'll move to 2019. 2019 question 1. Define and classify economic resources. These definition user, these are the resources are limited in supply, that. And you can say these are used to in the production process to convert input into output. You can write your definition. What is economic resource? Then classify, there is 4, right? So you can say land, labor, capital, entrepreneur. If you want, you can write one line about it. You can say land, all the natural resources, right, found in earth. Labor, the physical mental effort. Capital, man-made aids, which are used in the production process. Entrepreneurship, you can write a line about it. Okay, so maybe you can do that. Okay, so definition, probably you will get around 2 marks. For classifying this, you will get around 2 marks. That's how your marks will be. Right. Then explain why scarcity leads to trade-off. Yes, what is a trade-off? What's a trade-off? That's a question that a lot of people had fun. What is this trade-off, guys? Trade-off. Trade-off is not really an opportunity cost. Trade-off means you're sacrificing. Yeah, you're giving up something. So you can talk about our whole story, guys. You can say, because of limited resources, unlimited bonds, right? There is scarcity, right? And then you can say that these scarce resources, they have alternative uses, right? But since our resources are scarce, since we have limited resources, can we do everything, right? Can we do everything that we want? We can't. So we have to make a choice. So when we make a choice, automatically we have to sacrifice the other options. In other words, we have to trade something off. In order to get this, we're trading something off. We are giving up something in order to get something. That's the story that you write, guys. This story we have spoke about, right? The writing foxes can't get writers. Yeah, if you want, you can say human and property, but then again, you have to further divide it. Right? You have to ideally, I just check the marking scheme also. Ideally, I would like to see under human, maybe you're talking about labor and entrepreneurship, under property resources, say land and capital. Okay, so this is the story that you will talk about, guys. So you talk about, unlimited resources, unlimited wants that leads to scarcity. You have, because of that, you have alternative uses, right? But you can't do everything because your resources are scarce. So as a result, you have to make a choice. So the moment you make a choice, you face with a trade-off. That is where you have to give up something, right? So, and further going on to it, then there is an opportunity cost because of this trade-off that you make, because you give up something, right? Your next best option, right? The next best thing that you trade, or the next best thing that you give up, becomes your opportunity cost. Yeah. So you can talk about those are very basics, guys, right? But these questions, right, for you to score your full mark, please, trade-off doesn't mean it's not opportunity cost. Trade-off means you're giving up something. It's you're making a choice. Yeah. Now, for example, uh, you're coming into this class, right? You're coming to this class. These 2 hours you're coming and listening to me instead of something else, right? You could have gone to another class. You could have, slept. You could have spent it with your family. You could have been texting your boyfriend or girlfriend, right? You could have been doing things, right? You traded those off. You gave those up, and you came here. Yeah. So trade-off means where you do a choice, where you sacrifice something. Yeah. That's what it is. Yeah. Yeah. Talking of your boyfriends and girlfriends, any of your boyfriends, girlfriends eagerly waiting until you finish your class and come so that you can text with them? No? Anyone? No one waiting? Your better half is waiting until you finish this so-called paper class which came from nowhere. Now your partner is also questioning you. The paper class is supposed to be on Wednesday. Now he's just kind of lying to me and saying that he's on Thursday today just to avoid me. Right? They're also wondering what is this fellow doing. He said there is a class for lies now. Yeah. Wondering, usually you say that the class is on. Usually you say the class is on Wednesday and you escape for 2 hours, but now this time, what this fellow has told, the class is on Thursday. You're not sure. Also, you send a photo also of this Zoom class that is going on to prove, no, look here, I'm really in my class. No, no one did that to it. No problems. No one waiting for you. Very sad. No, sad to see no one's waiting for you. No, your bed is waiting. Okay. Right. Okay. So how does the production possibility illustrate the following concepts? Right. So again, very easy stuff, guys. Yeah. So how does it show scarcity? You draw a point outside the PPC, but you can't just draw a point outside, guys. You have to explain it with one or two lines, right? So you can say scarcity is represented by a point outside the PPC because it is unattainable, right? One line, simple. Then how do you show opportunity cost, right? So you can show, for example, 2 points. You can say point A and point B, right? So you can say this and this. You can say consumer goods, capital goods. So let's say if you're moving from point A to B, in order to increase, let's say, capital goods by this much, you have to sacrifice consumer goods by this much. That becomes your opportunity cost. So you can talk about something like that. And then economic recession. I explained what a recession is, so I'm not going to explain once again, right? So you explain that story, say aggregate demand is falling, therefore, that unemployment is increasing, and point inside the PPC. And then economic growth is where the economy is now increasing its production capacity. As a result, the economy can produce more goods now. So the PPC now shifts out. But very simple question, guys. It's one of the easiest questions that you will ever have. But just don't draw the PPC, guys. Draw the PPC and at least write 1 or 2 lines, right, explaining that story. Yeah, not just a PPC. Then, okay, this one. Explain why all combinations of goods shown on a production possibility curve display productive efficiency, but only one combination displays allocative efficiency. Yes, did I explain the story? Yes, right. In a previous question, productive efficiency, allocative efficiency in BYC. I drew the graphs and I explained, right, how does this whole thing come? Yeah, no? Okay. So then I'm not going to go into that extent again, guys. And also these recordings of the first 4 classes, now this is the 4th class, right? I'll put it into a YouTube channel or something, YouTube playlist, and I'll send you all the link. Yeah, so then you all can watch it as well in case I'll miss something. I was waiting because it's very hard to upload one by one, guys. It's annoying. So all together, I'll upload all 4. Okay. So you can talk about, right? You can talk about what is production efficient, right? So you can say production efficiency is where you produce, at the most efficient level, where you have full production, full employment both. So when you have production efficiency, you're producing on the PPC. You can write those, right? Things that we have already spoken of. And then you can say allocative efficiency is where you produce the most desired goods. So you can draw the diagram and show, right? So there is this, right? So allocative efficiency is only one specific point. Likewise, you can draw and show, guys. There is no this thing. You get diagram for your marks for your diagram also, and for your explanation as well. Because these I'm going faster because I've already explained, right? So if someone is there for the 31st time today and wondering why is this fellow talking so fast, that's because I've explained this before. Right. Then question 5. How does a market economic system differ from a command economic system in solving the questions about resource allocation? Easy things, guys. You start with what to produce. So how does a market economy solve the question what to produce? So you can say a market economy solves the problem what to produce based on the price mechanism. And you can say a market economy therefore produces the most profitable goods and services. Then you can say in that paragraph itself, you can say, however, a command economy differs in a manner where a command economy produces the goods that provides the greatest social welfare based on the planning mechanism. That is one point, right? One small paragraph about how does this and this. Then the second one, talk about how to produce. You can say a market economy, when deciding how to produce, uses the price mechanism and thus produces in a manner that is, let's say, the most cost effective or in the least cost method. And you can say, however, similarly, a command economy, right, uses the planning mechanism and decides on how to produce based on what? Based on this. Okay, this is also only talking about this, no? Solving the questions about resource. Guys, can you just check your marking scheme? Are they only talking about what to produce here? The problem of resource allocation means what to produce only. Can someone check your past paper answer? Are they only talking about what to produce or are they talking about all 3? Someone soon check it. Only that, no? All right. Yeah. So you don't have to go to all of that in detail then. So you can, because remember, this is resource allocation. Resource allocation is what to produce, right? The production technique is how to produce. The problem of, let's say, distribution is whom to produce. So maybe you can only talk about the what to produce part. So then elaborate a little bit more, right? So you can write in 2 paragraphs, right? So you can write 1 paragraph about how does a market economy answers what to produce. Another paragraph about command economy answers what to produce. So I'll just give you all an answer also. Should be there somewhere in my queue. Yeah, you can get a screenshot, guys. So how does a market economy answer the question what to produce based on price signals, right? In the product market, based on price mechanism, most profitable goods. Yeah. And then, so if you write this, you get 2 marks. And then you can say, on the other hand, right, a planned economy or a command economy, how do they decide what to produce? Based on specific plans of the central planning authority. They use the planning mechanism. So they do what? Comprehensive input-output analysis, and they find out what are the goods that provide the greatest social welfare, and they produce that. But a market economy produces the most profitable goods. So that basic thing, guys, that you all know, guys. I don't think you all don't know how they answer what to produce. If you still don't know, then you have to actually get studying, right? So for 2 marks, you write that, and for 2 marks, you write. Okay. Is that okay? Are we fine with 2019 shape? Questions, problems, issues? Yes. Guys, problems? Fine. Too tired now? Sat in the class for 1 hour. Now it's too hard to wait. You'll want a small break to walk around? You'll want around. You'll want 5 minutes to walk around. Probably I'll finish all this, guys. We have 3 more questions to do. Yeah. Okay. So I'll give you 5 minutes to walk around if you want. Yeah. So we're here. Okay, so now it's 10:35. I'll give you all 5 minutes till, let's say, 10:40. Yeah, walk around, have some water or whatever things, and come. Okay, so take a break till 10:40, 5 minutes, and I'll start right away, guys. I'll start on time. Okay. Okay, right. We are back. Yes. Yes, can you, if you're here, if you're there and if you're listening to me, can you say something on the chat box so that I know at least how many people are actually listening, and that you're there. Say something, even if you've never texted, that's fine. Just say yes, or say, I don't know, anything interesting that is happening in life, or anything, an emoji or something that I know that message is coming, means you're listening to me and that you can follow instructions. Yes, don't be lazy. Say something. Okay. Nice. Others. I get it. I've got messages from around. It's sleepy. I'm also sleepy, so what to do? But did you realize that I've told this before also? No, that sleep that that sleep that you have when you have so much of work is the best sleep. That I've seen that in memes also, and I've realized it also. Like when you have nothing to do, sometimes you don't even fall asleep, right? Like sometimes you think that after exams, once the exams finish, I'm gonna sleep nicely. But what happens after the exam is finished? You're just on your phone, no, you're doing this and that, and you're waiting. But those exam days that you really wanna sleep, and that little sleep you have is like very priceless. Yeah. So there was this quote that said, the best sleep that you could have is the sleep that you shouldn't be having or something. Yeah. So these days, maybe when studying and all, it might be really stressful, right? So it's very nice to sleep, but you will plan and you will think of, what once A levels is done, I'm going to sleep and, I'm going to do all of that. Sometimes it doesn't work. Yeah. Okay. Right. Mm. Okay. So this is the 2019 A levels, guys, the old syllabus paper. I found this on the internet, so we'll discuss these questions also faster. It might not be there in your because in 2009 syllabus changed, right? It might not be there in your past paper book, but we'll go through the questions. Okay, what can you give, guys? To which category of productive resources does each of the following belong? We'll start with the first one. Unemployed worker. That goes to what? Land, labor, capital, entrepreneurship goes to labor. Then this one. Lakvijaya coal power plant. Coal power plant. Capital. A tea estate in New area. Land or capital? Tea estate. Land or capital? Is labor, not land. Tea estate. Ideally capital right now. A tea estate doesn't come as a natural resource, guys. People are the ones who make that estate. So should be capital, right? And then Singaraja forest. That is land right now. There is no human intervention. That is purely made by people. Please give me 1 second. Hold on. What is unemployed? Yes. So labor doesn't mean whether you're employed or unemployed. That is not an labor means your physical and mental efforts. So whether you're employed or whether you're unemployed, you still have your physical and mental efforts with you. That doesn't mean he doesn't become labor. He's still labor. Okay. So okay. Then there is this. I think this question was repeated. This question was there before, right? Assumptions of a PPC. Yes. Only two goods are produced. You assume that all resources are fully utilized, right? But amount of resources are constant and the quality is constant. The technology is constant. Certain point of time. Yeah. All those things we have done that before as well. Then explain how increasing opportunity cost is reflected in the production possibility curve. Again, now a question that we have discussed. Can you see now same questions start to come again and again? Yeah. So how is increasing opportunity cost shown in a PPC, right? You draw the concave PPC and you show. So how would the curve appear if opportunity costs were constant? So if it was constant, how will your PPC look like? It will be a straight line PPC. See guys, you all can handle, right? Am I going too fast? Safe, right? I don't have to talk about these again and again. Yes, that will be uh, boring. Safe, right? You all want me to talk about it in detail? Because questions that we have already discussed, right? So don't worry too much. And then number 4, uh, what are the criteria used in classifying economic systems? Remember we talked about the criteria, 3 criteria. Did you all make note of that? I told you all to write down if you all have your book, I think an MCQ or somewhere. No, when we were talking about this in the 2015 paper or the 15 paper, are all market economies necessarily capitalist? Are all command economies necessarily socialist? Right? Last week when we talked about that question, I gave you all the 3 criteria. Can't remember, can't remember. Okay, this is why you should be there in the class all the week. What were the criteria, guys? One was the resource. Yeah. So that's the same story, right? So I'm not going to explain that again, right? So the resource coordination mechanism, right? The ownership of the resources and the incentive system. So based on resource coordination mechanism, if you use price mechanism, you're a market economy. If you use planning mechanism, you're a planned or a command economy. Then ownership of resources, if it's private ownership, it's called a capitalist economy. If it's publicly owned, then it's called a socialist economy, right? And then you have incentives. If they use material incentives, it's again a market economy. If they use cohesive incentives, right, then you call that a command economy, right? So apart from that, there's another incentive. You have moral incentives, right? So you can talk about those, right? Things which we have already discussed in last week's class. And again, they are only asking you for what. So you don't have to explain and write paragraphs. No, you can write the condition and how it's classified. This, second condition, this, third condition, this. Yeah, that's it. And then this one, again, a question that we have discussed, guys. Explain briefly the conditions required to achieve economic efficiency. So what are the conditions? Remember, we had this whole thing I showed you. Main 2 conditions. You need to have productive efficiency and allocative efficiency. Then what is productive efficiency? Write about it. To achieve productive efficiency, what are the conditions? You need full employment, full production. I told you what are the difference between that. And then what is allocative efficiency? Most desired goods. What is the condition? The price equals marginal cost, right? So once these 2 are achieved, you can then achieve economic efficiency. Fine, right? A very easy question. Are we safe, guys? That could have been a question that you've done your past papers, which you can score 20 out of 20 easily. Actually, the questions should now get easier, right? If you're feeling that the questions are getting easier, it's not because the paper is easier. It's because now you have done questions. Yeah. Fine. No, don't you all feel that it's getting easier? It's getting harder. That feeling is coming, one on my end. I have not maybe taught you all properly, or 2, you have not been following properly. Yeah. Just to feel, you would feel that, now this is manageable compared to where it was in the first question. Now you need to start feeling, wow, these are things that I know, right? Okay. So then, this one here, okay, again, question repeated. Yeah. Yes, I'll do the 21 paper also. Yeah. Repeated. What is scarcity? How is scarcity shown in a PPC? Yes. Fine. We talked about that, right? Scarcity, limitedness, that how is shown a PPC, point outside. We talk about that. We discussed that today also. Done. Right. Then a nice question. Why productive inefficiency and allocative inefficiency are considered wasteful in resource utilization? Now, this is they're testing the same theory. They're testing the little bit of the opposite of it. A lot of people got confused here, right? So why is it considered wasteful, right? Now, talk about productive efficiency. What is productive efficiency, right? You produce at the most efficient level, right? So you should have full employment. Now, for example, if the country has this many amount of land, labor, capital, entrepreneurship, but let's say you're not making use of that, right? You're only, let's see if I can. So I have the marking scheme with me. I remember I have the marking scheme. on 2020 A-level answer. I'll show you the answer itself. Okay. Okay, so productive inefficiency. See how they've given you marks. See, 2 marks for talking about productive inefficiency, 2 marks for allocative inefficiency. Right? That's how you have to learn how to break your marks now. See, productive inefficiency occurs when what? Right now, what is productive efficiency? You remember this? At one point I told you, right? Productive efficiency is where you produce at the least cost method. In an MCQ, was it your class or someone else? I can't remember. Least cost method. Yes, did I? So that I remember I taught that to someone, but I can't remember who. Productive efficiency is where you produce at the least cost. You know, not your. Okay, if that is the case, I'll teach all that in the past. Okay, okay. So productive inefficiency for you all, right? I don't think I would have done this in the 2023 batch. Okay, so productive inefficiency occurs when you produce at the output in the is not producing at the least cost way. So you fail to obtain the maximum output per unit, right, from your given input. So you're not using your inputs properly. You're not being able from your inputs. You're not being able to get the maximum output. So when you take the economy as a whole, what happens? When you're unable to get the maximum output of your resources, what can you say, right? So you can say that the economy it's not achieving full employment and full production, right? So as a result, yes, this forces the economy to operate below the production possibility curve, resulting in, this is the word, guys, underutilization or unemployment of resources. So can you see, guys? Now see how tricky this question is. Usually they ask you about productive efficiency. So productive efficiency, you say producing at the least cost method, you are using all your resources efficiently, getting the maximum output from your input, right? You have full employment, you have full production, so there is no wastage. You say that. So productive inefficiency, you say the complete opposite, right? So you say it is not the least cost method, right? You say then it fails to obtain the maximum output. Then you talk about, what? There is no full employment, full production. See, so then again, same thing. Allocative efficiency, what we say? We say you produce the most desirable goods and services. You produce where the what marginal cost equals the price. But here you say the other way. Allocative inefficiency is when the economy fails to allocate scarce resources to produce the most desired goods. And then, so when the value that the consumer places on a product, right, does not equal to the cost. That means, see, the price, the value that people place on a product is the price, no, guys. Yeah, the price is not equal to the cost. Resources are not used up, right? They're not producing the most desired thing. They are either producing too much of it or they're producing too little of it, right? So they're not producing the ideal quantity society wants. So that is again another wastage, right? If you're not producing the ideal quantity, if you're producing too much or too little, again there is a problem. So see, very easy question, guys, but it's a question that a lot of people got confused, right? A lot of people came and told me, sir, all of a sudden, sir, they have asked about inefficiency. Complete opposite, guys. So you have to expect questions like that will come your way. If you are smart enough, if you logically know. Now, for someone who has just memorized what is productive efficiency, you can't write. But if you logically know, you should be able to turn your answer around. Say, yes. Is that okay? Questions, problems? Fine. Okay. Then question number 3, guys. What are the main functions of an economic system? Functions of an economic system. What do we have? What are the functions? Functions. Anyone? What are the functions? The 3 economic questions, guys. Now see, even the even the marking scheme, yeah, they're talking about this. So the functions are answering those three economic questions, guys. Try to solve what to produce, how to produce, whom to produce. See, so every economic system, right, determining what goods to be produced, the allocation function. That we call the allocative problem, resource allocative problem. The second function, right, determining how the goods are to be produced. That's another thing that they have to do, and that's called the production function. And then determining whom the goods are to be produced. How are they going to distribute? The distribution function. See, the same thing, guys, right? Now, in the earlier paper, they asked, right, what are the three basic economic questions? Now, the same thing they're asking in a different way. What are they doing? They're saying, what are the three main functions? So, the more you have practiced your questions, the more you know your questions, these are very simple things. There is nothing new. You need to realize, guys, your economics syllabus, right? The subject of economics here, especially your unit 1 to 6, your grade 12 syllabus, those are theories that were formed around 100 years ago, guys. There's nothing they can change. But your unit 7, 8, 9, 10, they can change. They can put new stuff. They can ask about the reserves, exchange rate, budget deficit, new stuff they can ask. But your first paper, right? Your part A of your paper, the first 5 questions, yes, those are the same theories that were there for years and years. National income accounting, there are some new stuff. But apart from that, everything else, guys, introduction to economics, demand, supply, tax, everything, right, are old concepts. So there is nothing new that they can ask. So what the only thing that they will do in your paper, right? The answer is the same. They will turn the question around. Yeah. So we will see a nice way that they turn the question around in the 21 paper. I'll show you. Okay. Right. Then this one. Explain what happens to a country's PPC, right? Due to COVID-19. So what happens, guys? Because of COVID-19, what happens? This is a question that I definitely told my people to. You can go. We did this in their fast track calls and it came. Right? So immediately there is an economic recession. But then if that recession continues for a long period, then it would lead to economic depression also, right? So if you look at the answer here, right? Here the answer, they directly talk about depression, right? But you can talk about, right? So you say they say when this has happened, right? Now if you want, now remember, mm, okay, see, they have talked about all of that. If PPC does not shift, then it would be this, right? Okay, so how could you structure your answer? Now, see, they are angling this in different ways, right? So they're first talking about the most obvious thing. They're talking about people dying that angle, right? Because of COVID-19, if people die, what is going to happen? The labor force is going to fall. No, the country's labor force is going to fall. The country's labor force is falling means, right? As a result, the PPC might shift inwards. But now, not everyone is dying also, right? So then you can talk about this, right? So if the pandemic does not make a significant impact, right? But it does not cause huge deaths and stuff, but it's going to affect the productivity, right? The aggregate demand is going to go down. People are going to get unemployed, right? Because people are sick, they can't come to work sometimes because of work from home. So productivity is falling. So in that case, they're saying, no, PPC will then not shift. It will only be a point. So you have to think in that angle, guys, right? So this is definitely a question that any teacher would have prepared you for, right? Given the pandemic that came, right? Would that lead to economic boom? What would lead to economic boom? COVID-19? No, not a boom, really. A recession and then to a depression. Yeah. So that story, guys, again, a very simple story, right? So these things are things that you all can definitely again go prepared for, right? 5 marks. See, so you expect to write a little bit lot. You're expected to draw the diagrams. You expected to, show all of that, and then explain why division of labor increases the level of production in economy. Now, earlier we spoke of why does division of labor reduce the wastage, right? Remember the question we spoke, division of labor, yeah? Why does it reduce the wastage or something? That was the question. Same thing, right? So how does it, I don't know. That question also was the same, right? Why does it increase the level of production, right? How does division of labor increase the what level of production? So same question repeated, right? So look at the answers that is there, right? Same answers that we would have discussed before also. So what did we discuss? We said increase in the productivity, right? But then you can say, okay, right man in the right place, because people are specialized now. The one person is doing only one thing. Yeah. So then you can talk about inventions coming in, right? Then you can talk about it saves time because people are much faster, right? You can promote large scale production. In addition to that, you can write what we discussed before also, that less wastage, right? So things like that. So can you see now here? Look at the question word, right? Earlier, last time's question told you to state, or they asked you list, or they asked you what, I can't remember the word, where you only had to write points. But can you see over here? They're asking you explain. And can you see how the answer is given, guys? See how the answer is given. You don't write one huge paragraph, right? See how they have given. Here, for one of this, you get 1 mark, guys, right? That's how they give you 5 marks. See, 1 mark each for any advantage, right? So you don't have to write the exact same thing, right? But as long as you can talk about that, right? Point and the explanation, break it into paragraphs and write it that way. But otherwise, if you're not going to write it that way, you're not going to get your mark, guys. If you write one whole page about everything, then that's nonsense. Okay, right. Okay, so there was a request to explain the what COVID question again. I'll explain to see what they say, right? So first of all, they say, okay, I'll explain what exactly is there in the marking scheme itself, right? So first of all, they say due to the pandemic disease, right, because of COVID-19, what happens? The country's resource endowment and the productivity is impacted. Now, some people can die, then the labor force is going up. Some people fall sick, so they can't work. So the productivity and the endowment both are going down. That is one point. So then they talk about the endowment part of it, right? So here they say because of the pandemic and all of it, the labor force can fall, right? Because mm, what? So it's likely to reduce the what production capacity, and the PPC can shift inwards because people can die, your labor force can fall, right? And all of those reasons, right? Again, here also they are not talking only about the resource, they're talking about the productivity also. They can talk about, right? That's the normal general way of. But in addition to that, you can say, see now, and then you draw the diagram, right? So if the pandemic does not make a significant impact on the labor force, so not everyone will die sometime, because this was in the starting stages, right? So sometimes it would have not made a significant impact. So then what could have happened? It would have reduced the, this thing. So in this, here, the rate of utilization, right? So the amount that you use, this is the whole story about the recession thing. So you can say where, because of the pandemic, the aggregate demand is going down, so unemployment is high, your resources are not being utilized, right? To explain that story, right? Remember, these answers are, via these complex, because these are copy and paste from the internet, right? They copy and paste most of these sometimes from the internet, yeah, but they change a word or two to make it a little different, because otherwise it's plagiarism, right? So copy and paste from the sometimes these original marking scheme answers you might not be able to understand, yeah. So then they talk about this, it doesn't shift, then it's this one. Is asked this time. Yes, if they ask you maybe this year, I don't think they will repeat the question again, but in your A-level paper, if they ask you, what happened because of the pandemic, you can talk about directly a depression, right? Because a lot of people have died, productivity has fallen, right? Maybe you don't have to talk about this part, because now here this was a 2020 paper, no, guys. So then here the impact is new, you're not very sure of what would happen. So they're talking about both the cases, yeah. But if they ask you right now in your paper, you can directly talk about a depression, but I don't think that question will get repeated, but you never know. Okay, is that okay, guys? Shape fine. 2020 had some nice interesting questions. Okay, then we'll move on to 2021. 2021, guys, the unit 1 question was a little hard. Little hard in the sense, not hard, it was a little different. Yeah, right. Look at the question. Nice question, right? Okay, first one, outline 2 economic characteristics of land What are the two economic characteristics can you give for land? Outline, right? Not state. So you write around 2-3 lines about it. What can you say? You can say non-homogeneous, right? That the land in one place is not the same as another. For example, a river in one country is not the same as another river. Yeah, even the forest, all of it, right? So homogeneous, right? You can talk about immobility, right? You can't move land from one place to another. Yeah. And you can talk about supply being inelastic, supply of land, supply being inelastic, right? This directly there in your tutes, whatever that you are studying, right? So outline is not state, guys, right? Outline means you have to at least explain in, let's say, 2-3 lines. That is outline. Yeah. So maybe non-homogeneous, you can write about 2-3 lines for. Immobility, you write about 2-3 lines. Immobility means you can't move it from one place to another. Yeah. So that's that. That's a very simple thing there. That's that. That's the easy one, right? But then look at this. Now this is a nice question that I would want to discuss. I also did not attempt it yet. We'll go through, right? So this is the interesting one. So our people, people who have memorized stuff and gone. The moment you see a little bit of a practical question, you think everyone is panicking. Okay, it's a nice question. Okay. They're talking about a 500-acre land, right, in the outskirts of a city is considered by the environmental authority to be preserved in its natural state, as this area is home for many endangered species. So there is a land, right, that is a little bit outside the city, right, that there is a lot of different animals living it, endangered species who might be at risk. They're living. So the environmental authority wants to preserve it, not to cut it and do. They want to keep it that way itself. The urban development authority, the people who are building these flats and all of it, building, the urban development authority has planned to build an urban housing complex on the land, right? So there is one party, right? They want to protect it. Another party, they want to do it. So can you see? There is one plot of land, one land, right? Two alternative uses, right? So one, now you all know, this is scarcity, right? This is scarcity. Then scarcity plus alternative uses. What are the alternative uses? Of alternative use number one is to keep the land as a home for the endangered species. So you preserve the land and keep it as a home for those animals. That's alternative use number one. What is the second alternative use, guys? Now you should be able to figure this out, guys. Come on. What's the second alternative use of this land according to this whole story? What's the second alternative use? Exactly. Building a housing complex, no? Is that fine? Are you all okay with me there? That we broke this down. Yeah. So identify and explain the elements of scarcity, choice, and opportunity cost which are involved in this case. So you can start off with, you can say, first you can talk about scarcity. So you can say in this case, there is only one 500-acre land, but there are many wants or many alternative uses that you can do this and this and this, but there is only one 500-acre land that is outside the city, and that is scarcity part. Then the choice. So you can talk about, okay, now this scarce piece of land has two uses. Number one is you keep the land for the endangered species. You can revert it down, that's up to you, right? You can keep the land for these animals, or number two, you can build a housing complex. But can you do both? You can't. So from those two alternative uses, you have to make a choice. So you can explain that story also. Then how does that lead to opportunity cost? So then you can say, for example, right, if the if the urban development authority, right, decides to build the housing complex, then what would be the opportunity cost? The opportunity cost would be the lives or the lost lives of all of these, and they will lose a home. Or you can say the other way, or you can say, right, if they decide to keep this land for these endangered species, right? Make these animals live. Then what would be the opportunity cost? The opportunity cost would be the inability to build a housing complex where people could live. That's up to you. So you can turn this thing around, right? And you can work with it. Guys. Will still the original marking scheme. I did not get it. It is not bother to find it also. Once I find it, once the proper answer comes, I'll let you all know. But that's how you do it, guys. It's not hard, right? It's a very simple question. But the moment people saw a question like this, they panic, right? They are talking about urban development authority. They are talking about environmental authority. You don't even read this. You directly go to the next question. But it's a very simple, easy question. You get 6 marks there, guys. 2 marks scarcity, 2 marks choice, 2 marks opportunity. Safe, is that fine? Yes. You can expect questions like this in your paper, guys. This is the first time that they're going a little practical, and I have a very strong feeling that your paper can also take turns like this. So in the fast track, we will prepare for questions like this. Don't worry. But yeah, okay, done. Right. Then again, question number 3. Again, a little bit of an interesting question. Why are production possibility curves? Now you know this, but negatively sloped and bowed outward. See, there are 2 parts here. Why are PPCs negatively sloped? Why is the PPC downward sloping? Why can't you have a PPC like this? Oh, I don't know, like this. Oh, I don't know, whatever it is. Why is it downward sloping? That's number 1. And the second one, why is it bowed outward? Why is it like this? Bowed outward. Okay, first of all, guys, why is a PPC negatively sloped? Why is it downward sloping, guys? Because a PPC is downward sloping, guys. Because of what? Not because of increasing opportunity cost. Now, even a straight line is downward sloping. Yeah. Why is it downward sloping? Yes, a PPC is downward sloping because you have an opportunity cost. You can talk about, right? A PPC is downward sloping because you only have limited resources, right? So if you want to increase the production of one good, right, you only can do that by giving up some of another good. You can't increase both. So guys, if you can increase both, then your PPC will be upward sloping. You can increase Y also, X also. No, right? So you need to clearly say the PPC is downward sloping because, right, you have limited resources to produce your goods, right? In other words, if you are to increase the production of one good, you can only do so by decreasing the production of the other good. So when you're increasing one, the other one has to decrease, so downward sloping, right? So and as a result, you can say that the PPC represents opportunity cost. So it shows us that when you're going to increase one, how much of the other one you have to give up. So that is the negative slope part of it. Then what is the bowed outward? Now this is the part that you all know, guys. Why is the PPC bowed outward? Why is it like this? Why is it shaped like this? Why? Why is it shaped like that? Shaped like that? Because of increasing opportunity cost, no? That's an easy thing, right? So because of increasing opportunity cost, bowed outward. But if it was constant, it will be a straight line. If it was, let's say, decreasing opportunity cost, it will be bowed inward like this. You don't have decreasing opportunity cost in the syllabus, but yeah. Okay. So bowed outward because of increasing opportunity cost. So that means if you are to increase the production of one good, you have to give up more and more of another. Yeah. So that story you have to highlight. Done. Then, are we okay, guys? Are we fine with question number 3? Yes. Guys, these are also things that you all can learn, right? You can Google and learn also. You don't want me to, when you're writing answers, guys, you don't have to memorize answers and write. Refer your tutes, Google stuff, and you write your answers. Then you come to discussion with me. right? And then try to figure it out. But most of you all, what are you doing right now? You're just looking at the screen and waiting, looking at your past papers, listening, but at least you're taking that effort. That is very appreciated. Right now, I do remember the first class I told you, first class there'll be so many people, after there'll be very little people. No, I told this to you all, right? I tell you. No? No. That happens. That is natural, right? So, but at least the fact that you've taken the effort to come to class, that is appreciated. But then also write answers, guys. Get the best use of the whole thing. Yeah, don't just look at my face. And I don't think it's a very nice sight also. But yeah, at least if there was a nice teacher that was doing it, let's say a female teacher that was doing it, the boys would have come. I remember we also used to go to classes sometimes, not in A-level classes though, but in O-level days, right? School, right? Teacher is nice, so you never cut the period, you go, right? Those things happen, but make sure that you come to class, guys, and make sure you write also. Just don't look at my face and wait. There's nothing to see you. Okay, right. We'll move on to the next question. Define mixed economy, guys. So how do you define mixed economy? Guys, always remember this, guys. When you're defining mixed economy, don't say a mixed economy is where you have both the private sector and the public sector. That's not the definition, guys. Yeah, a mixed economy means an economy that uses a mix of the mechanisms, right? Mixed economy is an economy that uses both the price mechanism and the planning mechanism to solve the basic economic problems. That is how you define it, guys. Don't say mixed economy is where you have the private sector and the government, or private and the public sector. No, right? A proper definition is where a mixed economy is where an economy uses both the price mechanism and the planning mechanism to solve the basic economic problem. So in addition that, you can say, okay, the price mechanism is used mainly by the private sector, the planning mechanism mainly by the public or the government, right? That you can put later. Don't put that right in first when defined. Okay, so you do that. And then again, this is also another question that was there in one of my fast track papers, but was not there in this thing. So my people, I think they would have wrote it, but it's a little bit of a hard. Take 4 examples which support the view that Sri Lanka is a mixed economy. That means you're using both the private sector and the public sector. What can you give, guys? What can you give as examples? You're thinking a wrong answer. Okay, think of this. For people who came to my class, guys, when I spoke of Sri Lanka is a social market economy, I gave you examples because Sri Lanka does these things that are social market economy. What kind of thing? Okay, so you can talk about this, guys. You can talk about, okay, number one, right? You can this is there when we talk on the fast track, we'll talk, okay, few things, right? So you can say in order to make income distribution more equitable, what is the government doing? The government taxes, charges taxes, right? So that's one point. Show that Sri Lanka is a mixed economy. So people earn from the private sector, they earn, right? But the government also interferes, right, to make sure there is equity by charging taxes. What else, right? You can say, for example, the government. Okay, so okay, you can say in addition to the private sector, right? The government also provides, right, essentials such as education. You have government schools. They provide healthcare, government hospitals. They provide transportation. You have the railways. You have the government buses. That's another one. What else? Showing that Sri Lanka is a mixed economy. What else? What else can you say? That Sri Lanka is a mixed economy. Okay, you can talk about the subsidies, right? So now, usually, what happens? Usually, the in a mixed economy, also private sector dominates, So you produce in the least cost method. But what does the government do? Yeah, right. The government providing subsidies, or in other words, we'll say, or tax incentives for labor intensive industries, intensive uh, industries where you use more labor. Government comes and supports. Yeah, you can talk about those. What else? You can talk about the pensions in Sri Lanka, right? Government providing pensions, and let's say even samurdhi benefits to the citizens as a measure of social protection, right? That is to make sure that everyone's basic needs are satisfied. Yeah, you can put things like that. That's another example. What else? You can talk about government, yes, correcting externalities. They put in the rules and regulations and they do that. Yeah. So things like this, guys. This is again a question that was there in one of my past fact answers also. But yeah, in general, some of that. So most of the people, I'm guessing, last year would have not written question number one. Because question number one was a little practical. Now, if you look at the part two paper, the question number two that was there, that was practical, right? So all of this is not very direct. I will say the only question that was, you can get a screenshot, guys, right? The only question that was directly there in any of your tutes was this question. This was practical, right? Even on this, the negatively sloped part, some people did not know. Mixed economy defining, people know, right? But then again, this part, little practical, right? So most of them would have not written this, guys, but it's a very, yes, you can say government prevents externalities, but you will say how, right? You can't just say government because they're asking for examples. So prevents externalities by you can say taxing the cigarettes, right? So government, you can say government comes and you can charging high levels of taxes on cigarettes and on alcohol based products to limit the amount of externalities in the market. Yeah, you can put in things like that. Examples, guys. Maybe we'll look into the answer, actual answer. Does anyone have the marking scheme? I did not get it. If anyone has a PDF of the marking scheme, if anyone went, listen, if anyone has, just share it on the group so that everyone gets benefited from it, even if you have pictures or something. MCQ of 2021, I had the answers. I remember I had the answer. I'll see if I have also. Okay. I can't find it now, but I should have. So that's the thing, guys. That's about unit number one, right? Now, on our end, guys, we only did from 2015 onwards, right? So on your end, guys, see if you all can do the questions at least from 2011 onwards, right? 2011 to 2014, there's 4 more papers there. If you have done with that also, right? If you have the old papers, 2002 to 2010, right? There is unit number 1 questions, right? So if you do all of that, guys, I'll tell you, all the questions that they can ask from this unit, you are already prepared for it, right? You know everything. There's nothing new, right? So for this, you have to sit there and write it. You can't just look at my face and come to the explanation and listen to me there and figure it out, right? You have to sit there and write. Right? I actually sit and did this, guys, right? I wrote at a stretch, guys. I take 1 unit at a day, right? And at a stretch, I do everything, right? So I start with, I remember when I was doing A levels, I start with somewhere around, let's say 2004. Right now, I was doing L in 2017, no? 2004 all the way to 2016. I do all the MCQs first, right? So how do I do the MCQs? I do all the MCQs in 2004, right? I correct my answers. I see where I went wrong. What is this? Now we did not have these past paper classes like this, right? Right? So corrected the answers, figured out what is wrong, went to 2005, right? So did all the MCQs there. Went to 2006. So by the time I came to 2016, now I figured, okay, same questions are coming. There's nothing new, right? Once you're done with the MCQs, I then moved on to the essay question, right? So start with 2004. Okay, write all the answers to the essay question. Then 2005, right? You write all the answers. Then by the time you come to around 2011, sometimes you realize, okay, same question that was there that I wrote before. Now I don't have to write it again, right? So I just leave that now, right? I say refer this question, right? And then by the time you come to, let's say, the 2016 paper, from the 5 subparts, maximum I have to write only 1. Why? Because all the others I have written in previous questions. Yeah. So if you can do that, guys, that builds a lot of confidence within you. Look here, look the same question that is coming. If you're not going to feel that, then that's going to be a problem, right? So you have to sit and write, and don't take a lot of time also, guys, right? This is now this 2004 to 2016 maximum. There will be, let's say, I don't know, not 2016. Now you all have 21, right? There will be maximum 100 MCQs. Unit number 1 maximum, right? You can finish this 100 MCQs, guys. You don't have, even if you take, let's say, you don't have to take 2 minutes also, right? Even if you take, let's say, 1 to 1.5 minutes in 2 hours, right? In 2 hours, you can finish all of these MCQs. So sit, guys, learn to sit and do that. If that is not going to come, you're not going to get your 90s or your this thing. You're going to just pass. That's the difference, right? If you're not going to put your effort, you're not going to do this. There is no excuse saying, no, sir, no current, no this, no that, right? So you sit, you do your work, okay? 2 hours at a stretch, do the questions, then mark and see what is happening. You do 4 questions, correct it, you go the next, mark, correct it, and then let go. And then essay questions also, right? Maybe writing all at a stretch is hard, right? So you do, maybe do 3 years first. 3 years you write at a stretch, right? And then the next 3 years, maybe some questions are repeated. You don't have to write now. You can go faster. You can skip the questions. But by the time, make sure you answered everything, guys. If that is not going to come, right? Forget about getting your A or forget about getting a 9, right? I'm telling you because I've done this, my students have done this, and it works, right? So if you're not going to put that effort, you're not going to get that result. That's again up to you, right? I can't come and sit with you and answer questions for you again, right? So maybe together with some friends or even alone, right? You should be able to get your thing. That's the basics there. And then for the people who have registered for the fast track, guys, we are little by little adding you all to a group. Some people have paid, but they have not sent me the slip. So I was not able to add them to a group. Probably try and pay it off as soon as possible so I can sort your tutes and send it to you, right? Don't wait at the very last moment to pay, because if you pay early, I can send in your tute early, right? So please look into those. And yeah, anyone wants more information, you can maybe text me privately and we'll do that. MCQs, guys, again, don't go the whole syllabus, guys. You go unit by unit. Don't think of, I'll study the whole syllabus and then I'll do past papers. No, it's not going to work like that. You're going to study forever. You're going to study the syllabus then, right? Go unit by unit. You study unit number 1, do all the questions for unit number 1. Unit 2, do all the questions, right? So for the people in the fast track, we'll have a small study plan as well, right? So we'll be going unit by unit and we'll finish off. It's a good program that will definitely push you all towards getting your 90 and your whatever island rank. Yeah, so that's it from me. Questions, you can stay and clarify. If not, thank you for coming. I'll see you all next Wednesday and we will start unit number 2. Okay, that's it. See you. Bye bye. Ta-da. Bye.